Controlled Chaos here. I have a great video for you guys today. This one, I have an interview with Blood and Sensei from the new Freedom server that is being in beta right now. They're still working out some bugs, but first off, I want to welcome Blood to the show. How are you doing, Blood?
I'm good. Thank you.
And then there's also Sensei. How are you doing, Sensei?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, glad to have you guys here. So I've talked to you guys a couple days ago about this new Freedom server. You guys let me know that it's in beta. You're still working out some bugs, and I think that's great. Are you guys interested in having more people join the server, or are you wanting to sort of keep it low key right now?
I think we're good to have more people come along. It's definitely good to have people to team up with and test out the new stuff that we're trying to roll out. So I say the more the merrier.
Okay, excellent. So I'll go ahead and guys, I'll have the link to their website so that you can get the information and stuff like that, along with their Discord, so you can join that, because on their Discord they have it very easy for you to sign up and join the server because it has the manifest there. It's a really interesting server. So Blood, you're the owner, correct?
I am.
Okay, and so what's your main role? You're just paying the bills, or do you do any development?
Paying the bills, hosting, and then I'm learning the back end for development.
So, Sensei, I understand you're the lead developer, correct?
Yeah, I'm doing most of the development work, trying to get Blood up to speed so that he can do tweaks and balances as he sees fit. Other than that, I will be doing the new content development, just looking for new ideas and trying to get them implemented without introducing more bugs, hopefully.
So, being the lead developer, Sensei, is your main focus in the coding end of things, or do you also do some of the 3D modeling and texture work?
So any new textures, I've been the one that's been doing that. So new icons in game, splash screen, the icon for the launcher, I'll be doing all those. I don't think we're going to be looking at introducing new 3D models at this time. That might change in the future, and we'll see how well my modeling skills go at that point.
With that being said, you're doing some of the textures and stuff like that. What program do you use to do your textures?
So doing the actual design work for it, we're doing that in Photoshop, and whenever we need to actually get those into the game, it needs to go through a few different programs. Starts off with GIMP 2.0, and then we get it through getText so we can convert it to a texture file for the game.
Okay, so why are you needing to move it from Photoshop to GIMP? Just out of curiosity.
The implementation that Photoshop has for DDS file types isn't compatible with the game, so I have to take it through GIMP 2.0 to get the DDS file so I can convert it to a .texture file.
That can be a bit complicated, and I mean, at least GIMP's free, so you're not having to pay for two programs just to use one as a conversion tool, because that would be a real headache. I mean, I know Photoshop's only $20 a month. Unless you have the Master Suite, then you're paying $60 a month. But still. So, Blood, there's already a lot of City Heroes private servers out there. Why did you want to put the Freedom server up?
I think it's just to kind of put your own spin on things. Pretty much want it just uninhibited, be able to, put another spin on it, essentially. There are some servers out there that, they spin their own stuff and they have limitations and stuff, and I don't want that. And so it's just kind of to, spin your own ideas off on it.
Yeah, and some of the ideas you guys have, I've played on your guys' server, and I was really impressed with, seeing the Paladin archetype and the Enforcer archetype. I was like, oh, this is cool, because one of them is merging a scrapper with a controller in a way, because you get the controller abilities as your secondary and the scrapper primary. So I was like, That's really, really interesting. And I like when I see these different servers come up with these different archetype ideas. Like Rebirth has the Guardian, where it has a mix of melee and ranged attacks in the primary, and the secondary is all defensive stuff. So I really like that you guys went that direction. Either one you can answer this. What are the next main features you guys are looking on working on?
So I'd just like to add a little disclaimer in there.
Mm-hmm.
I previously worked on a couple of different servers before coming to Freedom, and specifically the Enforcer and the Paladin were actually developed by another person that I used to do work with, and they've actually released those archetypes on OrDev's site, and that's why they were included in our build, because the stuff is already out there. But I did not develop that, and Blood did not develop that. That came from someone else.
First off, I want to thank you very much for clearing me up on that mistake. That's very respectful of you, and I'm pretty sure the listeners appreciate you being honest that you guys didn't develop that. You actually just grabbed that off of a main area, and I have great respect for that.
Yeah, so as far as future content goes, the only thing that in the pipeline right now that I have focus on right now is a new upcoming archetype. And the idea behind it is that it'll basically be a modular type archetype. So what I mean by that is the core of it, you're going to have your primary and your secondary. For example, one of the power sets is going to be based off of the Paragon Police Department. So you'll have a primary set and a secondary set based on that villain set. And with that, there's going to be 2 powers in there that are going to be upgrade powers. And they will basically accept a special enhancement type. And whenever you slot those enhancements, it'll basically grant you additional powers on top of what you've already chosen. And when those powers are granted, you'll get 4 free slots with those powers. Now, those 4 free slots aren't going to accept any set types just to keep the balance of the game, but it will give you a diversity by giving you more powers that you can toggle between. And also with that, can switch them out on the fly. So if you decide to onslaught one of those enhancements, the next time you use that power or the next time you change maps, it'll basically remove that power from your arsenal, and whatever you slot into there will be added as well.
So wait a second, you're saying you're creating an archetype where the enhancements will allow you to add more powers instead of just enhancing a power?
That's correct. So there will be 2 powers specifically, one in the primary and one in the secondary, that will only accept a new type of enhancement. And those enhancements will give you new powers instead of enhancing your abilities.
That's really, really interesting. I can't wait to check that out and see how that works. Because having more powers than you already have and being able to put those on there would be very, very interesting. Now, to my next question, I'm a big fan of the Masterminds. I love the Masterminds. And when they first came out, they worked out great. But then when they did going rogue and put in demon summoning, somehow they broke the AI for all of the other pet classes. The melees were focusing on range, and the range were focusing on melee. Do you guys have any plans to try to fix that? And if so, how are you guys planning on going about that?
I don't have a large focus on Masterminds. It's not one of those archetypes that I play an over amount of time. To be honest with you, I wasn't really aware of an issue. If it's something that the community is saying is an issue, then by all means we would take a look at it. Mm-hmm. And just from the sounds of it, it sounds like you have range characters that are basically focusing on melee damage, and melee damage characters focusing on ranged attacks. And that should be a fairly easy fix. It's just basically changing their AI stance from preferring melee and preferring range to the other. It's definitely something that we could look at and play around with to see what we could fix.
Yeah, because, I mean, that's the main reason I like to play certain Masterminds on Homecoming, because they've actually brought back to the way it originally was in City of Villains. So when I'm playing the mercenaries, they stick to their guns. When I'm playing the ninjas, they'll stick to the melee, except for the archers. And that's really nice, and I like the fix that they did. Now, Thunderspy did another fix too, but to me, it's more of a patch to it instead of an actual fix, because they just removed the melee abilities and replaced them with other ranged abilities. So I'm sort of like, yeah, it's a fix, but not really. Seeing how different servers do different things is really interesting. And by the way, I do want to give a shout out to Per from the Purgatory server. He is the one that let me know about your guys' server and doing some really good work on her server. I want to also thank you guys for the time for this interview. And with that, I want to go into the next thing of what are your ultimate goals for the server? Where do you see to take it in the future?
I think at this point right now, we're still just tracing down some bugs to get the server stable and working well. I mean, it's stable, but just working out power set bugs and things of that nature. But future tense wise, obviously, we want to be able to introduce new content, maybe new missions or new ATs, as Sensei was talking about, that he wants to work on. Another thing that he's been kicking around is possibly finishing off Genesis, the possibility of that happening, maybe, as far as Incarnate. So big ideas, a lot of different directions, but at this point, I think working on the modular and getting that functioning and working good is a good start.
Okay, yeah, I mean, you definitely want to stabilize and fix as many bugs, big bugs as you possibly can that are dealing with your server. And I really like that aspect. Now, is there anything that you guys like that the other servers have done that really interests you?
To be quite honest, I haven't really played on many other servers.
Okay, Blood?
Yes and no, but I'm not trying to. I don't want to take from any other server. Maybe build on and maybe create our own spin on stuff. Example, what HC has done with their base editing and the ability to do that stuff, building up above and below and all the incorporation that they have had, that they've put into being able to do base editing stuff. But the other thing too is that I know that there was a lot of game dynamics that were kind of broken during live, like the item of power trial for an SG, base rates, that kind of stuff. I think down the pipeline, that's something we might try and look at bringing back and building on that and seeing what we can do to enhance that ability. That's just one idea. At most part, there's only been a few servers that I've played on, other than obviously the one that I've put up, but each server that I played on, they have their own individuality and things that they focus on. She's done an amazing job pushing content out, new content, great ideas, and it's a matter of sitting down and trying to pull bits and pieces from what I've seen to see if I can incorporate it or even build on it and maybe spin something to be ours. I truly believe we're not in competition with any other server. I want to make that very clear from the start that I'm not in competition with HC. We're not in competition with Per. We're not in competition. I would much rather work with everybody.
And in all honesty, I think that's the right way to do it. I think all the servers should work with each other to promote each other, help each other out, and stuff like that. And the reason being is because you're right, each of them are different. Homecoming is different from Thunderspy. Thunderspy is different from Rebirth. Rebirth's different from Purgatory. You guys are different from all of them. And some of them do overlap in certain areas, but there's certain things that each of them do really, really well. Like I mentioned, Homecoming did a good job with fixing Masterminds to the point that I like it. Other people might have liked the way that Thunderspy did it. Another thing that people like is the being able to customize their pets on Thunderspy is really, really cool. Being able to not out level your contacts, so you can go through all of the different origin stories and stuff like that on one character is really, really nice. Rebirth sticks to the philosophy of how would the developers go about doing things and adding in a bunch of new textures and outfits and stuff like that. That's really nice. Purgatory, focused on putting out a new AT, the Nephilim, and then it's also working on doing new exploration badges and putting some of those in. I think that's really cool. What would you guys think if all of the servers were to come together and work on one big project? What would you think of that? And would you be interested in doing something like that where they could all work on one big project and share it across all of the servers?
Yes and no. Server owners have a certain way of operating their own servers, and some of those server owners have personality clashes. And respectfully, the content might be fantastic, but there are certain things, sometimes there's clashes in opinions in what should and shouldn't be. Part of the reason why we're seeing such a spin-off on so many private servers of the game is because everybody kind of has their opinion on how things should be, and sometimes those opinions clash with each other. And I'm not saying that that's why I made the server, but I'm just saying in a co-op type of atmosphere, I honestly think that there are just character clashes between people. And the thing is that everybody is so passionate about this game that sometimes we take things personal, on a personal level, and things just kind of go sideways when it comes to stuff and the way we think things should go. And while part of me wants to be able to collaborate with other servers and to do things, but I do have to say that sometimes there are personality clashes that happen that kind of get put in the forefront, and unfortunately it kind of puts a damper on things like that.
Yeah, and I see where you're coming with that, and I do agree that can happen. That happens everywhere, workplaces, friendships, stuff like that. So I think them sort of keeping separate would be cool. But, some of the big dreams I would like to see, would require one team to get really big or all the teams to work together, because I really love to see a whole entire new zone introduced into City Heroes that's literally made by the members of a server or all of the servers working together. I think would be really cool. I want to move on to the next question, and this is for both of you, but mainly for Sensei. So with you mentioning that you're wanting to learn 3D modeling, what's a 3D model that you'd really like to see added into the game?
That's a good question. So on previous servers, one of the things that we had looked at doing was finishing up the holes in Lake Calicity Wharf, redoing some of it, and we had actually looked at taking 3D models of the admin characters and throwing them in the center square there. So I think it'd be neat to export one of those game character models and re-import it as an asset to the game, basically as a statue to import into a map somewhere, just to see if we could actually do it successfully.
Okay. And that'd be a really cool idea. What about you, Blood? What's a 3D model that you'd like to see in the game?
You're talking above my head at this point. That's Sensei's ball, to be honest with you. I have found to enjoy creating, power sets and things like that. 3D modeling and stuff, I have no understanding about.
Well, and that's fine, and it's appreciated, where your strengths lie. But let's say you had someone who was able to 3D model something for you to put into the game. What would you like to see in the game?
I think me and Sensei have talked about it. I mean, Callista's Wharf is one that I'd like to see something done with. As far as modeling is concerned, I don't know where that would be, other than the fact of I would just like to see another co-op zone, and for us and for everybody.
Okay, yeah, that's a good answer. I really like that idea. Is it just the two of you working on this server, or do you guys have other developers?
It's just the two of us.
Yeah, it's just the two of us.
Two of us. Are you guys open to having more people come and join the development team, or you just want to keep it the two of you?
That I leave up to Sensei to make that decision. to be honest with you. I want that to be his decision.
Okay.
If he's comfortable bringing other people on or not.
And so, Sensei, I guess the question goes to you then.
Plead the fifth. Having more people around to do development is definitely always helpful, especially when you get people that are passionate about actually learning how the mechanics of the game work and what they can do to imitate and better upon those mechanics. Finding people that have time and are willing to learn it is definitely a difficult task.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I'm open to having other people work on it. I have no issue with that. My fear with that, as it has been with any other project that I've done, is bringing someone on and they basically come on, get access to all the work we've done, and basically run off. That's definitely a big fear. And not to say that, anything we do is so overly complicated or anything like that. It just sucks when you spend hours of time doing stuff and it just gets out into the open.
Mm-hmm. And that's understandable. And I don't know how the back end of stuff works, but I think what you could do is basically just hand them a blank slate of the original version of what you guys are working on without your added on stuff, and say, hey, can I have you work on this new system? Or can I have you work on this 3D modeler? Because what I'm thinking of is since you're mainly the programming guy, you could have someone doing texture work for you or someone doing 3D modeling work for you, hand over that 3D modeling work, and then you can implement it into the game.
Yes, definitely. That's definitely a route that you could go. Problem with that is, you get people working on, a game that's X number of years old and they're excited to work on it, but you're not giving them access to everything that you have. You're kind of sort of tying their hands in ways. You might tell them, we want to work on this, we are trying to line it up with this, but we're not going to give you access to this to look at. That can be a mentality that definitely rubs people wrong. I know that it would bother me if someone did that to me.
Mm-hmm.
So that's not necessarily something that I would probably want to do to someone else, just because I know it would bother me personally.
Yeah. Someone like a texture artist or a 3D modeler, we're used to working in parameters. We're used to working in file sizes and color depths and stuff like that. Your model can only have so many polys. Your model can only have so many verts. And make sure that they're all four-sided polys or less, giving that kind of information. And that's why I was leaning more towards the 3D modelers and texture artists, because they don't need to have access to the code front of things, because they're not going to understand the code front of things. They're only going to understand the normal maps, or not normal maps, but the UV maps of the models or the model wireframes themselves. And so those can actually be pulled out of the game and given to the player. I know I'm working with Senpai and them. They're looking at getting me a model so I can sort of play around, maybe make something for them. And so with that being said, if there is a texture artist or a 3D modeler who's used to working in that frame set that I'm used to working in, where we're just given specifics of what we need to do and then given a reference template, would you guys be open to working with someone like that?
Absolutely. I am by no means an artist. I can muddle my way through it. I'm by no means a 3D modeler. I can muddle my way through it, but that's not where my passion lies. I can get it done, but I would much rather see someone else generating, the images, if that's something that they're passionate about and, they're willing to help us with that. I would definitely welcome that sort of help.
Okay, so here's what I say to you listeners out there. If you're interested in doing texture work, 3D modeling, and you have those skills to where you don't need to be trained or an understanding of it, reach out to the Freedom server. Talk to Sensei. Let him know you're interested, but also remember, you need to be able to work with these guys. So think of that. You need to work as a team and not just force your ideas onto them. They already have their ideas of the directions they want to go. So that's where I'm going to leave with that. I want to talk about what's the biggest thing that you guys would like to see happen for any of the City Heroes private servers. Something grand scale that would be epic, where you're like, that's just amazing. I can't believe they did that. Let's go ahead and we'll start with Blood.
I think first of all, I mean, right off the top of my head is, I mean, I want all of them to be successful in what they're doing. You know, I want them, you know, like I said, every server has their own spin on things and are introducing same or similar or different things on their server. So, I mean, right off the bat, every server, I want them to be successful at what they're doing and whatever it is, whether it's server population or, you know, higher server population, more activity. That's universally what I want. I want us to be successful in what we're trying to do and let the community play what they want to play. That is the ultimate goal. We just all offer something different, and I want us all to be successful in what we're doing.
Okay, and Sensei?
As Blood said, you know, the success of everyone's server, you know, that I think is a really big thing. Other than that, I would really like to see someone actually generate an entirely new map with, you know, villain spawns and everything. A completely playable, mapped out new map.
I am 100% with you on that one.
I've made several attempts at doing stuff in Callisto Wharf. I've made several other attempts at generating an entirely new map from scratch. I've looked at taking the Eden Trial map and making it into a playable zone. And I've learned lots from it. I've learned lots from, you know, people in the Orodev community that have done a lot with map editing. And yeah, I definitely think it's possible, but I know that I still have a lot to figure out before I would be able to do a full zone. But just to see someone do it would be very motivating.
Now, I want to get to my final and last question for you guys. If NCSoft were to do a license deal where you guys could have your server generate and make money by doing a license deal, would you guys do that? Or if they sold the rights to City Heroes, what would you guys think of that?
I'm going to be 100% honest with you. Yeah, there's overhead costs to running something like a private server, but that's not why I'm doing it. I'm doing it because I love the game, and I want other people that love the game to play it and have the ability to choose what they want to play. Money is not a problem for me. I don't need it. Pay to win, player subscription, I don't need that. I just want people to have the freedom to play the game that we played for so many years when it was live and enjoyed so much, but with twists, you know, with new ATs, new, as Sensei's talking about, new zones, new content, new stuff, you know, that is player based, and server owners are essentially just other players that have a passion for the game and love the game and just want to kind of put their own spin on it. I don't need the money. I don't want the money. So that's not the issue. The issue is that for so many years, when the game sunsetted, for so many years, my kids grew up on this game. They were playing at age 3, and when the game sunset, that was kind of a devastation to them because, all honesty, we had computers set up in our living room so each of the kids could play and me and their mom could play. And that was a source of quote-unquote family time for us, was being able to play that game when it was live together. And so money's not... I could care less about the money, to be honest with you. It's just about the community. It's about the game. It's about the love for the game. And it's about wanting to continue that legacy of the game.
And I 100% agree with you. I like that there's the passion there. I'm thinking of the money to use it so that you could do something like say, hey, Sensei, come work on this game full time. I'll pay you this amount so you can pay your bills, your rent, and a living wage. That way he could work on it full time, and you could also bring on other developers. You could hire 3D modelers, you could hire texture artists and stuff like that to help quicker improve the game. That's what I'm looking at money wise. I'm not looking at so you can become a millionaire or anything like that. I'm just looking at so that these developers aren't having to take their free time in working on this game, but be able to make it their main job, and in their free time they could be jumping in and playing the game for fun.
So in essence, you would want to create another studio.
In a way, yes.
So I mean, I'm not against it. Don't get me wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I'm not opposed to something of that if that guaranteed a future for the community and for the game. But we all know how things transpired with that company that owned the studio and how things ended. And I honestly, other than WoW, I think there was no other stronger community. There hasn't been any other stronger gaming community that I know of.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, if it means that it secures the game and the future of the game, then sure, go for it. But on a personal level, I do this because I have a passion for the game. I also want to learn, but I also have a passion for the community.
Okay, well, Blood and Sensei, I want to thank you both for your time. I'm going to start with Sensei first. Is there anything you want to say to the listeners before we go?
Come play, come have fun, and we'll see you in game.
Okay, and Blood, what about you? Anything you want to say to the listeners?
I just want to say thank you to everybody in the community, everybody that's helped develop, everybody that has helped develop in the past, the present, the future, the community. You're fantastic. We love you. Just come and have fun and play and enjoy. Enjoy what's given to you guys, you know, and provided. We have fun, we play, and I just want to say thank you.
All right, well, I want to thank you both for being here. This has been a great eye-opening talking to you guys. I really like how you're all about the community, Blood. And same with you, Sensei. I think that's really, really great. That's why I like it. That's why this channel covers all of the servers and not just one, and ones that are up and coming, like the Freedom server. And I highly recommend you guys play on this server, help them solve those bugs, report those bugs, and remember, I do have a video that talks about writing bug reports. Check that one out right here and have a great day.